Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back to the Behind the Leazes podcast. I think we're a bit annoyed in this podcast, and I think there's been a bit of a realization after the result yesterday. Of course, we are talking about the 5-1 defeat against Tottenham Hotspur. I think you think it's Spurs, it's not a bad defeat, but I didn't expect 5. We've got two of the usual suspects and a new member of the podcast on as well. So we've got Rob, Andy, and Lewis, who is our new member. Lewis, how are you doing, pal?
Yeah, good. Yeah, well, I say good.
As good as you can be. As good as you can be after yesterday. For every new member of the podcast, we ask them just a couple of questions. So the first Newcastle game you ever went to, and then your favourite Newcastle memory as well.
First Newcastle game, 2003 against Charlton. Boring 0-0. Shola got a offside goal. Yeah, pretty crap.
Starts me into
welcome and life as a Newcastle fan, really, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then just your favourite memory as well as a Newcastle fan.
I would say it's got to be getting through when we got through at the semis against getting through to play Marseille. That's just that sort of just a European night, just on another level to anything you do in the Premier League. I think the Premier League, yes, it's great, but when you're playing in Europe and you get those results in Europe against the big lads, you know what I mean? It's a different feeling altogether.
Definitely, of course. Was it Drogba that ended up knocking
I
out?
was going to say, I'm just having Drogba PTSD.
Had a Woodgate masterclass in the first leg. I think it was a 0-0. And the second leg was 2-0. Drogba with both of them. He was just unplayable that game. Unplayable. So yeah, a lovely kit that one as well that we went out in with the silver kit. Lovely kit that.
Yeah. And the rest was history, eh? We've got Andy here as well. How are you doing, pal?
I'm all good, mate. Turned quarter of a century, so officially feel old. Hangovers aren't the same as what they used to be the last 3 days now. So just getting back to normal after last weekend and then being away this weekend. So only caught a little bit of the game. Lucky for me.
I know, yeah. Happy belated birthday to yourself. 25, get you. Don't look a day over 20, man. And I mean, what a way for Newcastle to give you a present as well with a 5-1 defeat.
Oh, mate, they know exactly how to make my birthday. This is why I'm glad my birthday is international break time, because it's always a friendly if it's England, so it doesn't ruin it. Newcastle cannot ruin my birthday, and it's great.
Fantastic. We've got Rob here as well. How are you doing, pal? You've had, I was going to say a little bit of time in the sun, but
yeah,
a bit of the opposite.
No, I'm all right. Yeah, I was in Barcelona for the last week. I had my own little international break, so that was fun. Went to the new camp. But as I say, the weather wasn't too great here. But to be honest, it wasn't that great over in Spain, really. We got a bit of sun and did a bit of sightseeing as well, so it was good. And pretty much rushed home off the plane to go and watch that game yesterday in the pub. Which, to be honest, I should have just stayed in with a cup of tea.
Yeah, and I think the big talking point of the game was just think how much were crumbled at the back for all 5 of those goals. Rob, I'll start with yourself. It was, I think, a little bit disappointing to see. We're talking at the start of the podcast about how we maybe had a little bit of expectation after, a training camp in Dubai and having a little bit of time off for the international break as well, but it just didn't seem to gel for Newcastle.
Yeah, I'm still trying to process the whole thing a little bit, even at this point, to be honest, because it just didn't look like the Newcastle that we've been watching, since Eddie Howe came in. We had that 9-game unbeaten streak. Yes, we lost to Chelsea, but that was because of the official. And then, yes, we lost against Everton, but it was a late winner. So, coming back after an international break where the lads have had a chance to really prepare themselves. We knew it was going to be a tough game. I mean, they're challenging for Champions League. Realistically, we're still trying not to get relegated. But as you say, I mean, if this was a few months ago, I would be asking how many people can we stick on the line. Whereas instead, I was thinking, what, can we get at them? Can we try and pick up something from this game? And as much as, we knew it was going to be tough and I didn't expect to have much of the ball. We'll get a goal in the first half. I'm thinking, can we fight for something in the second? And then just totally crumbled. I think it's just the way the goals went in as well. I mean, at the end of the day, if you lose a game like that, at least we tried to pick up some points. Eddie Howe always goes out to try and win a game, but both of their fullbacks scored. I mean, the amount of time and space they had was just dreadful. So, it's a wake-up call. We've got some big games coming up. So I'm hoping that's, got them out of that Dubai slumber or whatever they were doing over there.
Yeah, I think the 3 words that you said there, or the 2 words actually, a wake-up call. Andy, I think that describes it really, really well. I think a lot of people, a lot of fans thought after we went 9 unbeaten that, would be over the hedge and that would survive. But I think there's clearly some more to go.
Yeah, I think everyone's just looking forward to the end of the season now. I mean, I'd be a bit more excited if there was an actual World Cup in the summer, but obviously that's in the winter. We just need to recruit players in good ones. We've had the same players in the squad for years now, and Eddie Howe's good, but he's not a magician. You know what I mean? He can't instantly turn like these players into world class quality players, and that's what we need if we're going to drive forward. And Lewis was mentioning the European nights before. That's what we need if we're going to get back to that, because we've only got a handful of like really good players, and we haven't got many internationals in the squad. That's something that needs to change. I mean, Bruno's probably the most regular one now, and obviously we only just got him in January. It's just see out the season now. We're safe. Like, I think everyone more or less thinks it, unless it would take something to go catastrophically bad for us to go down now. Just see out the rest of this season, pick up a couple more points, and then in the summer just hit the market heavy. I know there's been rumoured that we might only have 50 million to spend. I don't believe that for a second, mate. I think we'll have more. With Ashley didn't spend barely a penny of any players were sold, like the Carroll money. I'm pretty sure we didn't really see that until we brought in Joe Linton. So yeah, get to the summer, get some new faces in, centre halves, basically all across the pub. We need players in it, and I could be in all day saying which players and where we need them. But yeah, summer for me, and then kick on into next season.
Definitely. And Lewis, coming to yourself now, we looked at the lineup and it was slightly changed from the previous games. Of course, Shelby back into the lineup after having a little bit of a spell out. I think there was maybe some COVID problems as well in the squad. I'm not sure who was out because of that. Bruno was on the bench as well. Looking at the results after what's happened, would you have maybe started any players differently, or would you have made any changes a little bit earlier on?
It's a hard one, really, because you had Bruno, who'd just been on an international break. So he had flew, what's that, let's say 20 hours to get back to the UK from Brazil. You had Almiron, similar situation, only back in the country for a day or two. Then you had a Shelby who'd been ill. Do you put a fit and fighting Bruno, who just scored for Brazil and was playing fantastic in the middle of the park? I don't know. It's a hard one. I mean, it's not very often that Eddie Howe gets it wrong in the first place. So, you know what I mean? You give the benefit of the doubt when I say the lineup. It's not the same as the grumbles I used to make when it was Bruce, and you think, right, that team's getting a hammering, an absolute hammering. Depending on the lineup was how the result was going to go. Whereas now we've got a way of playing. So actually, at the start of the game, I thought, right, that's the team that went 9 unbeaten, basically. I think it's bang on the same team, other than maybe Manquillo's in there instead of Kraft, who I prefer Manquillo. So yeah, at the start, I was quite hopeful. I thought we were going to get a result. Naivety, I mean, but I thought we might have got a result, but it obviously, it wasn't to be. There's not too much I would have changed. There's not too much you can do with the players we've got anyway. The lack of
Definitely,
depth.
yeah. I think, yeah, that's been the big problem all season. It is the depth. Of course, a couple of the players have missed out of the squad registration, whether it's to do with injury or, like we said, just a lot of players in, the same position. There's a player, though, that I want to discuss, and it's a player that we've discussed a lot. It is Alan St-Maximin, a player who I think, for me, he really, really does frustrate me. And even Eddie Howe as well, he was asked about how does he coach a player like St-Maximin, and he says, he's maybe a little bit worried to coach him. He doesn't know how to coach him properly. Rob, how long do you think it'll be until you might have to think about St-Maximin's place in the squad?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was actually quite happy to see him on the pitch for the Spurs game. I know obviously it was going to be a game that we were going to have to defend in, and I didn't expect us to have a lot of the ball, and St-Max and defending don't really go together. But I had a feeling that we'd need that counter and we would need that pace. Chris Wood isn't the quickest lad. Almiron's not getting a game. Fraser's not the quickest guy either. I think he's lightning quick, and it's someone we can definitely use. But as you've said there, for whatever reason, things just aren't quite adding up at the moment. I've got faith that he'll come good again. I just think that he's a good player, and like all sports, football's the same. It's a confidence game, and when you're playing well, you're playing well. I mean, look at Joe Linton. He wasn't great. He got all his confidence. Now he's playing amazingly. St-Max had an injury. I think he had a cough, then a groin, and then he was ill, and then he was back. And I just think he's had a bit of a journey. And at the end of the day, he was one of 11 players who were useless yesterday. So it's not right to point the finger at him and say, oh, he wasn't great, was he? When in reality, there was people who probably played even worse. So I'm hoping that as we come back for the game on Friday, Eddie Howe will have put them through the paces, and I'm hoping that he, like the other players, can come back with a bit of a bounce. And at the end of the day, you look at the squad and the players that we're looking to move on in the summer. St-Max is not on my list. If you think we're going to spend 50 to 100 million or whatever, you're looking at getting out the players who aren't even the squad, like Clark, and then maybe make a space for Gale, make a space from letting one of the goalkeepers go. Even if we kept St-Max as someone to bring off the bench with 30 minutes to go as a super stub, like he would still be part of my squad. So I get the frustration from fans, but I feel like just to point at St-Max alone is harsh.
I think the thing for me is it's not just been the Spurs game where it's been really, really frustrating. It has been multiple games in a row. When he came off the bench against Chelsea, I thought he didn't make an impact at all, and then we ended up getting beaten that game. Everton as well. I just didn't think he made an impact. He was losing the ball very, very easily. But like you said, I do hope he does become better, especially towards the end of the season. Andy, just coming to you, I've just been looking at a few articles on St-Maximin now, and the most recent ones are actually saying that the club could be looking to sell him in summer. He's got a 50 million price tag on him, apparently, or that's how he's valued. Aston Villa are interested. Would you sell him in the summer? Would you, if a bid came in that big for him, would you sell him or?
It's been slow news week this week, hasn't it? It's no surprise that these rumours come up and about. Look, Maxi had a 60 million price tag under Ashley. If anything, I wouldn't go as far as saying that doubles, but it's definitely more than 50 million. Like, I know we only paid, 21, I think, for Maxi, but especially Villa, of all teams as well, we will not sell a player like Maximin to Aston Villa because they really our main competition now. That's what kind of bubble we're in, that wanting to be pushing up for Europe places. That's where we are going into next season. So the last team we're going to sell Maxi to is Aston Villa. Do I believe he might want to go? I know some of the Steve Wraith Brigade and all that have probably hounded Maxi over the last couple of weeks, like your dad having a go at him because if he can do a couple of step overs and doesn't play like the usual left mid and just go down the wing, cross the ball in, Maxi tries to make a difference. For me, Maxi always starts in our team at the minute because who else do you play? Like Maxi's the only one in that front three that can get a hold of the ball and create something himself. Bud looks like he's really struggling in front of goal wise. I know he hit that like half volley which went slightly wide, but apart from that, like he's great at holding up the play, but he needs to find that confidence back in front of goal again. Fraser can create, but then again, he needs Wood in those spaces. And we've got that problem at the minute where Wood's playing quite deep and he's almost playing as a false nine rather than a striker. And it didn't work yesterday. It just completely didn't work. I was surprised we didn't change to a back five to match theirs yesterday. Because he did that against Chelsea. I was quite surprised he didn't do that against Tottenham. And they're always going to be a threat. I mean, Kulusevski's been absolutely fantastic, like an amazing signing for them since he's came in. Kane has found form again. Son is always a problem. It's just they're a really good team, Tottenham, and I don't know if we've got that goal going forward. I mean, the first half an hour will look good. I mean, especially the first 5 minutes, we were right at them, and then we just backed off with like. I'm sick of this whole. It's been nailed into them by the last two managers of go 1-0 up and just sit off and like just try and defend a 1-0 lead. You cannot do that in the Premier League. It's too fast paced, and you could if you try and sit off for 60 minutes, it's 9 times out of 10 it's gonna go wrong and you're gonna concede. And we did within 3 minutes or something. It was like rapidly quit. I mean, I looked like a right tit on the train, score like celebrating the goal going in, and then 2 seconds later, I'm just sitting like this, like slumping down in my seat. It's just, I don't know. Like I said, mate, we just need to get to the summer now, and hopefully, like some Maxi, will keep around, get back into a good spirits, and we'll just find where we are. Like that's what we need. I mean, we're in a bit of a mixed situation now because we went that 9 games in a row without getting beaten, so everyone's getting carried away, and then we've been hit back down to reality quite hard, to be honest. I mean, I don't know about you lads, I was just like moping about last night after the game. I was just like, for Christ, is this what it is again? So hopefully we can bounce back next weekend, but like I say, mate, the summer's what I've got my eye on now.
I know, I am just looking forward to the season finishing. I must say,
yeah.
I loved the time off that we had with the international break. What was it, 17 days without a game? The F1 was on. It was brilliant. Lewis, coming to yourself now. Of course, Andy has been talking about the summer and the transfer window. Rob mentioned as well that he would keep St. Maximin and keep him as a player who, in future would come off the bench and have the moments of magic in, the 30, 40 minutes or so that he'd be playing. Do you feel the same way about that, or would you have him in the starting lineup for a long time coming?
I don't know about a long time coming. I think he's so Marmite. He just literally he would split any fan base. Doesn't matter which club he played for. One thing I would say about St. Maximin, I think people don't look at it enough, is how many clubs he had between the age of 18 and 21. Club after club after club after club. He played in Germany. He's played in France. Obviously, he's played in England now. This is the longest he stayed at any club. This is the closest he's had something he could call home. And I think he gets very comfortable. We'll love a sort of French winger at Newcastle, especially on the left wing. We're renowned, we've always just seen, I don't know why, but we always just seem to have a French left winger. It seems to be standard. It's not Newcastle squad without a French left winger in the squad. Again, I think he splits opinion. I think his last season for Newcastle is next season. I think after that, he's one of those players that if he doesn't start churning out those numbers, that's expected of you in the Premier League. We're talking as a winger, what you should be getting, what depends on whether you're playing inverted or if you're playing actually on the wing. You're talking the goals and assists. We're talking 10 goals, 15 assists. 15 goals, 10 assists. Either way, we're not getting that from St. Maximin. Nowhere near that. Not that I don't expect that of him in this squad. However, if we improve in the summer and we go to buy in, we're saying like just off the peak sort of Champions League players who just don't make it into Champions League squads, and that squad around him is improved, and he still doesn't start delivering, then you're asking questions. You're going, right, you've got the squad around you, you've got the natural finisher who's playing number 9, and you've got this, you've got everything around you. We're now playing possession football, and you're still not delivering those numbers. And I don't care what anyone says. Yes, someone can influence the game, but still, you've still got to get those numbers. And as a winger, that's your main outlet. Yeah, it's not like the 90s and early 2000s where you play with 2 strikers. Your wingers are now you're expected to score those goals. They're expected to get those mass amounts of assists. I mean, in the bottom half, probably what does he get? Does he get in every squad in the bottom half? Do you think?
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
Do you think he gets the starting lineup for every squad in the bottom half? Okay, so and then top half, whose squad does he get in?
So this was a discussion that was on Twitter a few days ago that I saw. Like you said, every bottom half squad he'd get into, but looking maybe 1, 2, 3 of them, and then you sort of have the big 6 after that. So I wouldn't expect him to go into a top 6 squad now. But I was going to ask you, if he does go next season, do you think his stock would increase or decrease?
If he what? Sorry.
If he was to go next season, at the end of next season, do you think like his transfer value would be higher or lower than it is now?
That's such a hard question. That was a good question as well.
Of course, you can't anticipate what's happening, but
no, of course you're not. Obviously, then I'd be a millionaire. But I think with a better squad, I think possession football would suit him. Where we're not relying on him to track back. Look, you know what type of player he is. He's never, like Laura said, he's never going to track back ever. That's just not his game. If you can get him in a situation where all of his energy is focused on attack, take that ball forward, beating that man. And I don't know if any of you have seen the podcast that Trippier did with the True Geordie.
Yeah.
And Trippier said the first thing I did when I come in, near enough, to say to St. Maximin, stop trying to beat that man again, get that ball into the box. And I still don't think he's doing that. I still don't think he's getting that ball into the box. So he's not listening, and that's worrying. Because I can tell you right now, I can almost guarantee the Newcastle coaches will be sat there saying, look, this is why you need to improve your game. I would say every other player has improved their games in areas where they needed to. Even Kraft. Look at Kraft. We've had some absolutely amazing performances out. Well, I wouldn't say amazing.
Yeah.
We've had some great, solid performances out of Kraft. Everybody knows what they're doing. And I feel like St. Maximin is the odd one out in that. I don't think he likes instructions. And I think that the reason he performed under Bruce was because there was no instructions. Do what you want, son. You'll never get a telling off from me, son. You know, you'll have an arm around the shoulder the next day if you crap. You know, that's where we're at. Eddie Howe's not that type of manager. If you're not putting in the sort of graft, you're gone. You know what I mean? And I think, especially with Newcastle, because I think Eddie Howe sees this is his absolute biggest opportunity he'll have in his whole career. He's going to take this seriously, and he's going to have no time for slackers. And if that means cutting people adrift like St. Maximin, that means cutting adrift Callum Wilson because he's injury prone. I think that's it. He'll do it. He'll be absolutely, he'll be lethal when it comes to that, and he'll do what's needed. So I think, yeah, again, better squad around St. Maximin. If he performs, good on him. But if he doesn't, it's time to say goodbye, isn't it?
This summer, if the right offer did come in for him, do you think Eddie Howe would pull the trigger?
No, not this season. No, you don't know who you're going to get in to replace him. I think we've got exactly like what Rob said, we've got other places massively where we need to improve first. I think we've got good 6 positions we need to improve before we'll look at St. Maximin as a target to get rid of.
I always love these discussions about St. Maximin in particular. They just get a little bit heated. It's a little bit of a difference between
this
the
season, though. This season so far is his best season numbers wise for Newcastle. He's shown in the 3 seasons he's been with us, his numbers improve every year. So that's one thing to keep an eye on going into next year.
What's he on for? What's he on this season?
He's on five goals, 3 assists, which
Still
I
crap for a
think
winger,
is
isn't it?
our second top scorer, if I'm not wrong, to Callum Wilson.
I think he might be joint with Wilson, but I'm not entirely sure. Trippier's up there as well, the top scorer.
Callum Wilson.
I think that shows you.
Callum Wilson that's played 5 games this season.
Yeah, I
Crazy
think.
when you think about it, isn't it?
But with that being said, why can't he perform like that every week? Or well, not every week, but why can't he just be as good as that more consistently?
The whole team's like that though. This is the problem. Like, because Maximin's our standout talent player, he's so easy to pick on. Like, again, like this is because of yesterday. Because he's the one you're expecting to go forward and get the goals for us. It's so easy to pick him out. When the rest of the team is rubbish. I mean, Dan Burns been fantastic since he's came in from January. Last 3 games, he hasn't been great, and it's like it's hard for. Because our team is generally not great, for one player to kind of stand out and create the difference all the time, it's near impossible. Like, I'm sure Messi would probably struggle doing that. You know what I mean? Like when you've got like, we just crap half the time. You know what I mean? But Maximin, I think, he does deserve his credit for what he's done so far at the club. I mean, he improves, like I said, he improves every year. He's improved this season again. He is improving in his game. You can see that little bit. But like we've all said, he does need to learn when to give the ball. I think he'll slowly but surely get that. I mean, I think he's like a slowly maturing player because he's so talented and so skillful. He likes to still take his man on. I mean, I'm guilty for trying to do it. I mean, we all are when you get like start doing your little step overs while you're playing 5-a-side, you go past one man, you're like, oh, hang on, I'm mint me, I can do more. And that's Maximin's problem at the minute. That's what he's wanting to do. So I think maturity will come within his time at the club, and hopefully he does start giving the ball a bit more. But for me, Maximin's our biggest asset going forward.
I think a big problem. He doesn't know what he's doing himself half the time. So trying to ask him, right, get that ball in after you beat the man. He doesn't even know what he's going to do to beat the man and what position he's going to be in to even be able to cross the ball. I don't know if you watch him when he beats his man. Have you seen his balance? It's all off. Like if he gets the byline, his balance is usually all off. And I don't know if you've noticed this. He will never hit a high ball. He never puts any height on a ball. He always plows it into the box because he's always over the top of the ball. Every single time you see him, if he gets past his first man, gets past the second, he's leaning over the ball like that. And it means he has to cross it, driven into the box, low down. Every time. I wish somebody did a compilation on it. I'm sure I'd be right. I remember him doing one high cross against Chelsea, I think it was. Other than that, it's always low driven balls at the box. So he doesn't know what he's doing himself. So
I think before we move on, for me, I just don't want to have to keep shouting pass it at the telly every single game week that he's playing. But look, I love Alan, but he's got to be one of the most frustrating players to watch at times and an absolute genie at other times. But I just want it to be a bit more like a genie every week. That's all we can ask for. And I'm sure he'll get there. Let's hope so, at least. We'll move on, gents. We'll talk about the next game that we'll have, the first of 3 games at home. I think it's been about a month since we played at home. I can't even remember what the last time it would have been was. So look, it would have been Brighton at home. And that was, 5th of March. So it will be over a month since we've last played a home game. But we are going to be playing against Wolves this Friday. So a nice little Friday evening kickoff at home. I'll tell you what, it's them evening kickoffs. I fancy Newcastle winning these games. It's something about an evening kickoff. It's in James's Park. It really does something to the club. Maybe it'll do something to St. Maximin as well. Rob, how are you feeling for that game?
Despite the fact that we just lost 5-1, I'm feeling quite good about it, to be honest. I mean, this is the thing, and even going through that international break, I mean, I know football moves so quickly, you should really concentrate on the game ahead of you. But to be honest, I was already looking a little bit past this Spurs game. I don't know if it's just because I'm excited to get back to St James's Park. But as we'll probably talk about, we're in the last leg of the season now. Really, about a month and a half to go, 9 games to go, and we need to make sure we stay in the Premier League. So we've got these 3 home games in a row, followed by an away game against Norwich. So those are the big 4. Because then following that, I don't know what order it is exactly, but it's Arsenal, Man City, and Liverpool before we play Burnley on the last day of the season. So really, I don't want to be going into that string of 3 games still needing points, and I don't want to be going in against Burnley last day of the season either. So, these 4 games coming up, starting with Wolves, is where we need to be picking up points. And again, Wolves are a side who are still challenging for a Europa League spot. So they're a good team. I mean, this is why we like the Premier League, because anyone can beat anyone. And I'm just hoping that, as we've called it a wake-up call, Eddie Howe has got them running laps today as punishment, and then they'll work on some stuff tomorrow for playing a different game, a different side. And we need to get it right tactically, because again, the second half was just too poor for words, to be honest. So we need to fix that. And I'm hoping the players have walked off and are ashamed of what happened in that game, really. And I'm hoping that gives them that extra bit of oomph playing in front of the home crowd for, as I say, 3 games in a row.
And Andy, just come to you next on this one. Wolves, like Rob said, a side who are still sort of in the European qualification spaces. They're 8th at the moment, just 3 points off. I believe even 3 points off 4th place. Yeah, they are. So, it's 5 points. 5 points off Champions League spots. Which players in particular do you think are going to be the standout players for Wolves?
Can't say I'm the biggest Wolves fan, but your usuals, your Raul Jimenez, Ruben Neves, Moutinho, even though he seems to have been around for decades, he still seems to be able to pull his part. And Jose Sarr, the keeper, he seems decent. They're a really decent team. I mean, for me, this is probably our most interesting game this season, because Wolves was our last game of the Ashley era, and that was the game I looked at this season. I had the takeover not gone through. That was my point. I was just like, we're going down. Like, if this is how we're playing the rest of the season, we are going down. I didn't think we were going to win a game of football then. I mean, who was it scored for us? It was Jeff Hendrick scored for us, I think. It seems absolute years ago now. I don't know about you. It seems quite a while since the news went through in October. So for now, to see how we've progressed in that short time, that game against Wolves, that was just probably the worst I've ever seen us play, and just killed all hope that if we're having a good season, to now where we're building, takeover's gone through. We've just came off the back of a horrendous result, but how can we build on that against the team that we've arguably, apart from this game just gone, had our worst display against this season? So Friday night will be really interesting, I think. And then I just want the season to end. Like, I just want to, like, January was meant to, like, it was just exciting. You were checking your phone, transfer news every day, and then now it's just like, our summer, please.
Yeah, literally. I think, like, we're all sort of hoping just get to the end of the season, make sure we survive. Rob, you've just made a good point in the private chat there. Raul Jimenez is banned for the next game. He got a red card. I'm not entirely sure who it was against.
I think it was the previous game, actually. I'm sure. I think he got a straight red, so I think he had 2 or 3 game ban. So I think this is the last. Wait, is it the last game he's banned from? Oh, I'm not sure, but he got a red, so he can't play, which is good for us. And they also had Neves go out with an injury as well, so there's 2 key players that are down there, which is handy for us. And as I say, if we bring Bruno back, I think we're pretty much up to full squad. So good time to play them, hopefully, if the number 1 striker is not available. Yeah,
they're a squad with decent depth, though. Fabio Silva, Huang as well. I'm not going to say he's
Huang.
There you go. I didn't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, he didn't he got a brace maybe against us last time?
Yeah, he's a really, really good
definitely
player. He did get a brace. I think the made his move permanent now as well. You know, he's been in really good form, especially at the start of the season. Lewis, moving to yourself now, just on the Newcastle squad itself, would you make any changes to the squad that got beat against Spurs, or would you just try and keep it just the same as it was?
It's a hard one. I think I'd get Bruno in the middle instead of Shelby. It's a hard one because Shelby's been so good, but was so bad against Tottenham. I think Bruno's better at recycling the ball from what I've seen of the small glimpses of Bruno. I think keep the same team. Look, it's one bad result. You don't base every opinion that you've got of these players after one result. These players have shown us enough that they can go out and get results. They can churn out results. And look, just playing one bad game doesn't make you a bad player. These lads, I think, the care, and we've seen fight from them. I think they were bloody shattered in those 3 away games that we had. You could see they've given everything they had. They've been away to Dubai, and I think they've maybe just needed a bit. They're going to need a bit of time to get back up to speed. It's almost like a pre-season that long off. I don't care what anyone says, to then come back and face a Tottenham side managed by Conte. It's like, you know what I mean? There's no bigger wake-up call than that, is there? So I think keep the squad the same. Maybe replace Shelby with Bruno. Other than that, I think, I know you're going to probably laugh at this one. I think playing Dwight Gale, I think starting with Gale instead of Chris Wood. Chris Wood gives you an outlet, but for me, if you're playing Bruno, he likes to put the ball. I've seen where he likes to put the ball, especially against Southampton. You need somebody who can run the line. And Gale's been within the squad. He's still been there. He's went away in the warm training camp. I think you need somebody who can run the line. And Chris Wood just can't do that. He hasn't got it in his locker. That's not his game. Or maybe even playing bringing him on after 50 minutes. I know it's controversial because he hasn't played. We all know Dwight Gale, there's a player in there. Again, you don't suddenly turn crap overnight. The lad scores goals for fun in the Championship. I know it's different gravy, but I think to run those channels and just get the back line of Wolves knackered. We're too easy to play against sometimes. When you've got Chris Wood up top, he's so predictable. It's almost, I think most defenders could handle Chris Wood. He doesn't put his weight about like I thought he would before we signed him. I thought he's not as physical as what I thought he was going to be, and I've been surprised by how the lack of physicality in his game. So yeah, other than that, I'd keep the squad the same. Other than that controversial one there, and obviously bringing Bruno in, I'll get pelters for the Gale one, but I'm not bothered.
No, I think it would be quite nice to see Dwight Gale back into the squad. We know, like you said, Lewis's potential. Well, I say his potential, what he's capable of. So yeah, it would be nice. Maybe playing with 2 up front would be good as well. A bit more support for Chris Wood. You're playing there a bit more like a false 9, having him loop the balls over to Dwight Gale that you can run onto.
Well, I don't know if I would quite agree with Dwight Gale, but I definitely know where Lewis is coming from. I do think that I think Chris Wood with his back to goal and no one around him is not helping him. I do think even if it was someone like pushing Willock into with more of a 10 role, just to kind of drag some players away from Wood, because whenever we give him the ball, he's marked by 2 centre-backs who are just kicking him in the back of the legs. If you can not get that knock on for Willock running through, or even if we tried St. Max in a more central role, I think that would potentially help us create a little bit more, or at least help Chris Wood out, because at the minute he does look a little bit stranded or isolated on his own up there.
They need to get closer to Wood, 100%.
Now we'll go around the room for our score predictions as well. I can't remember what was said for the Spurs game, but
oh God.
We'll go for it. Yeah, surely not. And I just had a little look as well. That was actually the second time Eddie Howe has been beaten 5-1 by Spurs. Wow. So October 2015, when he was the Bournemouth manager, first season that they come back up, Eddie Howe's Bournemouth got beat 5-1 against Spurs. And there was also, the stadium announcers when like they do the added times and things like that. Their announcer left the tannoy on and started absolutely slating Bournemouth over the microphone.
Wow.
And I think he got sacked after that as well. So thankfully that didn't happen yesterday's game.
No.
But yeah, we'll go
to Newcastle.
yeah, you never know. But yeah, we'll go around the room for a score prediction. Rob, we'll start with you, pal.
Oh, I think it could be. I think it could be a close. Again, it was similar when we played Spurs. To be fair, because their form guide has been really erratic recently. They will win one, then they lost one, then they beat Man City, then they lost against Burnley. So to be honest, even in the game yesterday, I was half thinking, I hope it's that Spurs side who turn up and not the good one. Unfortunately, the good one turned up of them, and the bad one of us turned up. So, what Newcastle are we going to get? Are we going to wander around doing nothing like we did in the second half against Spurs, or are we going to turn up like we did against, I don't know, any of those unbeaten games where we looked a lot more solid? So I think it could be close. I'm going to go 2-1. I can see Wolves scoring a goal. I know we've just spoken about some of their attacking players, and I think they are quite dangerous. But I'm hopeful that we can turn it around. If it's not a win, I think a draw possibly, but I think it could be a tight game.
It's Andy. What about yourself? Score prediction?
2-2. I want to say. I think we'll be right up for it, but again, we struggle defending. And if Hwang Hee-chan plays like he did last season, not last season, a couple of months ago, we'll concede. I think I'd usually be more positive. I'm usually one of the more positive ones, and I'll usually back us to win. But I feel like that. I don't know if you have seen the clip of the Accrington Stanley manager where he's just like, "I'm rapidly falling out of love with football," which is my mood today. No, I think a draw's a fair result. I would take a draw going into the game, so I'm going to go 2-2.
2-2, yeah, very respectable 2-2 as well against the top 10 side. Lewis, a win, draw, or a loss?
Really torn. St. James on a Friday night under the lights. I'd love to say a good 3-1, but realism is kicking in. I think I've got to agree with the 2-2. I think it's got draw written all over it. I think we'll turn up though. I think we'll play. I think we'll give them a game. I think we'll turn up. I think we'll try and right the wrongs of the Tottenham game. But I think they've got too much quality. And if they even half turn up, that's still just as good as our best, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think 2-2. I think it's good. It's a good shout.
Definitely, yeah. I think I'd agree with Lewis and Andy there. It'll be a score draw, but it should be a fun, entertaining game. Like I said, Friday night under the lights at St James's Park. It really does something to the team. Let's hope it does. But we're going to end it there, gents. Hopefully, it's not going to be another 5-1 that we'll talk about next week. But yeah,
hopefully it is, but it's to us. That's what we want.
Let's hope so.
Max,
go on, you Aggies. But yeah, thanks so much for coming on, gents. Of course, welcome to the podcast, Lewis. It's been great having you on.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
We'll see you again after the Wolves game. Hopefully, talking about a win. But yeah, thanks so much, everyone. Catch you later.
Cheers.